In this video, we are taking my Sakura D6 and we are converting it from the mid-motor belt-driven configuration. We're going to go to a lower rear motor idler gear. And we're going to try to figure out, is this like belt drive versus the idler gear? Which one's better? In order to do this, if you've already got the belt-driven car, it's a lot of parts. It's a lot. Fortunately, 3 Racing has a link where it'll tell you every one of these parts that you need to order in order to make this transition, but it's a lot. I mean, you even have to replace the transmission housing itself. Obviously, you need some idler gears in there. The differential's a different shape because of the gearing on the outside. There's shims, there's the motor mount, there's just stuff. There's all of the stuff. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. Let's get started by doing a baseline weight of the car as is. Belt drive configuration, no battery, we're at 1,000 grams. Basically 1,003, 67 rear, 33 front weight distribution. But we do need to get the battery in here for this, because I believe one of the benefits of this change is that we're going to be able to then move the battery back even more. So we do want to check that. I have my Genzace 4000. It's kind of my go-to battery, very lightweight, good power. So now we're at 1147, 68 rear, 32 front, 778 on that rear. So that's what we're going to be looking at. One of the things that we're going to be looking at as we do all of this is, does that move that weight bias even more rearward or not? But then we're also going to be looking at, how does the car drive? And I'll note, 3 Racing does provide instruction manuals on their website. One key here is it's not the exact instruction manuals that we need. All the instruction manuals that they offer on their website are for assembling the vehicles from scratch, from fully kit into whichever form, motor, belt, idler, whatever gears you're looking at. It's all from scratch. There's no conversion instructions. So that means we're going to be going through kind of the typical assembly manual and then figuring out what we need to take off and what we need to put on and what we need to change around. So that's going to be a little difficult. I hope this video ends up being very useful for you then, because I'm going to try to summarize it all for you. The first step that we're going to be doing here is building the idler gear diff SAK-D632. It is a complete total diff. The important part is this. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. So it is the idler gear outer housing here for the differential. And I believe this ends up being a slightly different shape than the other part as well. And so you need this in order to match up with all the other gears. It's really too bad that you have to buy a whole diff for it, but we're going to go ahead and assemble it per the factory recommendations. With the diff now built, I think it's time to start taking some of the rear of this car apart. We need the bearings. We need the bearings from the factory diff to go on here. That, according to the instructions, is the next step, but they're in there. And so I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take the shocks. Shock tower is one unit and just lay them over. We're going to end up disconnecting this front plate because we're going to end up removing, I think, basically the whole transmission and replacing the whole thing. So some screws here, the upper screws here that mount the ESC plate and all that, and just lay that back and then try to get the screws that get the control arms just off, and then we'll put all of that back on together. I just took the idler shaft out in order to free up some tension on the belt so I can get the differential out and I get those bearings and everything. Note, mine never broke. There were so many folks on the Sakura D6 group that were always concerned about theirs breaking. For whatever reason, miles and miles on mine. No issues. But then into bag number 2, SAK-D632 So this is the whole rear bulkhead. And part of the reason why we need that is these are different. These are those little funky bearing, like offset carrier thingamajiggers. So with the belt, you have adjustability and tension setting, right? It's round and you can set it somewhere different. I even painted mine silver to make sure I was setting it right. With the idler, they want this flat part up here. They don't want it to move, because if you move it at all, you're going to end up changing the gear mesh and stripping out your gears. That would be bad. Now, I'm really guessing that you can actually just reuse this part, because if you do, you just need to make sure that it's set appropriately and you don't get it screwed up. I think what they're doing right here is trying to foolproof us by giving us that flat top. In that way, there's no way to screw up the gear mesh. But if you're maybe trying to fit a different gear diff in there, because I think that's one of the keys here with this, is that this diff may unlock, and the idler assembly may unlock the ability to use different differentials, maybe like the CLSD from Rhino Racing. Maybe it'll be a slightly different diameter, and you'll want to keep this one around so that you can change that gear mesh. So these aren't going anywhere for me. I'm going to keep these just in case. They may be needed in a future video. And with the idler, it actually turns out these side plates are different. I was kind of under the assumption that maybe they wouldn't be, but they are mostly the same, actually. The whole rear part here it's like exactly the same. But up here where the idler mounted, it now has two different holes, which is for those, I'm guessing, those idler gears that we're going to have there instead. So unfortunately, you cannot reuse the belt drive bulkhead here. You do need to get this whole kit and swap over to this whole thing. We now need to get in here and reuse this top shaft. So just simply taking it apart step by step like we had, gear off here. We're going to have to blow apart the two halves of this case to get it apart, this gear off, and then we're going to be rebuilding it with a different idler gear starting piece right here. With the transmission all back apart, all to get to this shaft, because again, we need to change this plastic belt gear off for SAK-D632. In the instructions, it's actually noticed as like a aluminum bronzy color, but black will work just as well. 3RAC-P5, it's a P5 O-ring. It shows 4.8 by 1.9. That's how you're holding the cross pin in on that gear. There's a cross pin that goes through there, and then they want you to put this rubber O-ring on there, which is maybe fine. The previous setup had this gear, cross pin went in there, and then you just put a plastic sleeve with a little set screw. Guess what? That's never ever going to come loose. If you have a D6 with this idler setup, I would highly suggest that you check this occasionally, because if this gets bumped off, if this O-ring starts to age and wear and crack, and come off, then all of a sudden you're going to lose that pin, you're going to lose everything. I'm not 100% sure I love this solution, but it does work simply, very simple. And then we'll have our little shaft here all assembled. SAK-D632, these are some little shafts. We need this group 3RAC SW05. It's a group of shims. SAK-D633 idler gears. Note that you do need to make 2 of these, and you don't want to be like me and only order 1 of the set of bearings. You do need 2 of those packages of bearings that I showed you. There's only 2 in each. Fortunately, I happen to have some other bearings laying around that were the right size, so we're in business. Oh, now look how fancy we are here with those idler gears in there, feeling very nice and smooth. You want to make sure no binding, super smooth action. I noticed the center gears are very tight with those shims in it. The top shaft here, we still have a few millimeters of play. Through the instructions, it is still suggesting that the battery tray stay in this position. As I assemble mine, I'm going to look and see, is there any way that I can move it back? I mean, that has the potential of over 10 millimeters, 15 millimeters, 15-ish millimeters that battery can move back. If that's possible, that would be a huge rear weight bias improvement. Okay, I'm going a little rogue compared to the instructions now. I went ahead and bolted this diff case down in here so I can see how it looks, and I ended up, you can see here clearly, taking a few more bits off of the car in total, because as it turns out, it actually wants you to spin this whole thing around. Yeah, it basically wants this whole thing spun around, and then it looks like you're going to end up mounting your shocks to the front side of the axle instead of the rear side of the axle, and I don't know if I want to do that, honestly. But what I do want to know is I want to go ahead and skip forward to the part where I actually mount the motor mount down here, get the spur gear on, all that kind of stuff, and then see, is that going to interfere with the shocks? I'm guessing that's why. I'm guessing they have us putting the shocks up here because otherwise it'll hit, but I want to bolt everything on first and just see for myself. Since I am going with the lower rear motor position, SAK-D618. And yes, you could choose the upper rear motor mount instead of the lower rear motor mount, and then you get to reuse the part that came in the original kit. You have to buy one less thing. I shied away from that Yes, it could be good for weight transfer and some other things like that, maybe good for clearance, but I didn't want to have to worry about bodies and body clearance, and so that's why I'm going with the lower setup. I'm going to make my own decision here, and I am not going to follow the instructions. I'm going to bolt this back down just as it was before, except of course the ESC mount won't fit there. So all it takes, it looks like, is 2 screws on either side, and I'm going to rotate that ESC mount around so that it's still facing here, but I'm going to actually keep these shocks connected to my magnet. I'm going to actually keep my shocks here in the rear position. I'm going to rebolt back up the active rear toe straight back to where it was. I think all of that's going to fit, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to move my battery back like I was hoping to do. I'm going to notice a fallacy with this here, and I'm going to have to give you a close-up image of it. When I do this, the case is not meant to be mounted this way, and there's a little notch, there's a little step up right here, and this part of this upper shock tower is just a little bit too long, and it hits there. So I could simply come in here and just trim it off. If you look at the back part, it is actually smaller. That's what's supposed to be up here. So I think I could just literally take a knife and just snip, and it would go straight down on there. I don't think we're going to actually end up mounting anything right here because the ESC is going to be sitting there. So I think it's okay as it is. It's still going to hold the diff in appropriately, but I think you can just come in and snip, snip, and then you have the ESC there. I think the real benefit to what I'm doing here by keeping this shock tower in this orientation is it keeps the shock weight in the rear as well. I think I'm still going to be able to move the battery back, and I don't have to redo any of the suspension geometry with this active toe, I don't think. Let's get that bolted up and make sure that it looks right. And putting this rear control arm on, I think this is my fault now. It turns out a little bit of interference right here between this edge of the control arm and this small edge here of the motor mount. So I just took the rotary tool in there, clearanced it just the smallest amount. Ah, looky looky, we are all back assembled. Everything works. Shocks are on it. Shocks do their job. The active rear toe still does its job. It looks like my alignment, because I left everything like this, looks like my alignment's, I think, the same. So far, what we've successfully done is dangle that motor way back out there. That should certainly help with rear weight bias. Still need to mount the ESC up, get the wires run through, get them all soldered on. I think, honestly, if you wanted to go real crazy, a different 3D print file to mount this ESC still like straight back here or something along those lines, I think you could, and just get all of the rear weight bias. We're not going to do that today. That'll be something for the future. We're going to go ahead and mount it here, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and do what I was hoping to do, which is I'm going to go ahead and move these motor mounts back as far as I can. There's holes on the chassis there, both front and rear, for you to be able to do that. And now with the spur gear not there, I think we can move it back farther if we want to. I think this opens up a lot of possibilities for this car. Oh, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. That is looking pretty good. A couple things to note. Obviously, we have all this old parts. We have the old diff. We have the old carrier transmission housings. I have a couple extra little screws along with a little idler, the motor mount, and of course the belt. But I also have M2x7 steel pins that it said you needed 5 pieces of. I don't see that I ever needed them, so I don't know where I missed that. This pack had the 0.2 millimeter shims in it, so obviously there was some leftovers there. And then of course I have some leftover of those O-rings that went right here. But in general, very excited. Batteries in it. So first thing we need to do now is weigh it and see what difference there was. And moment of truth. Look at this total number here now, 1144. Before we were 1147, so we lost 3 grams here, I guess, as I shortened up some wires and everything like that. Otherwise, just magic 3 grams left. But look at this. We were at 68% rear bias, 32% front. We're now all the way up to 74% rear weight bias. And total rear weight now, 844, whereas before we were at 778. So that's something along the lines of, what does that end up being, like 66 something like that grams, I think, total, that we are now heavier on the rear than we were before. And of course that just came off the front because we just moved all that stuff to the rear. 74 rear weight bias. That thing is definitely going to have a little extra traction on the rear tires now. Recognizing that the rear suspension now is probably a little bit too soft. I imagine we're going to get some squat and it doesn't do a whole lot of rebounding. I had specifically put these springs on here to match the weight that was there before, that 778. Now that we're heavier, we're going to need to up that spring rate, but we'll do that later. Right now, let's try to drive it just as it is and see what we feel. Oh yeah, no, that feels great. One of the things people will frequently complain about with the rear motor setup is they feel like the pendulum weight back there is too heavy and it won't transition smooth enough for them. Well, guess what? This is a pretty tight little area right here, this big C shape, and it does just fine. Look at that. With all that extra weight back there. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be really, really good. Now with that idler gear set up, we don't have to worry about that belt stripping or any of that kind of issues as well either. We stripped those idler gears and something's really wrong. Perfect. I like it. Now there's two main things that I'm going to have to do next. Again, one, I've already told you I'm going to have to change my rear spring rate because it's just too much weight for those springs now. So that's easy enough to do. I have a whole bunch of springs and I have a spring tester. The other thing that I'm going to need to do now is reconfigure my body a little bit because womp womp, look at that. So I was right. The body mounts actually line up perfect because I didn't rotate that shock tower. But the motor sticks out too far. Oh man, and we're not talking by a little bit either. Like the motor sticks out too far by like a lot. So I basically have three choices. Get a different body, which I don't really want to do right now. Change where the motor position is. Also don't really want to do that right now. Or cut the heck out of the rear body. Which I also don't really want to do right now either, if I'm honest. But I think the Mach-E here is just going to go away. I think we're going to get to just cut a big old hunk out of this and see if that'll be enough for it to sit down there. Now, if you are thinking about doing this to your Sakura D6, idler and rear motor, here are my thoughts as to why you probably do want to, at minimum, do the idler gear setup on this car. The idler gear, one, I think is going to be more durable than the belt drive. I think this belt will wear out on you and you will, at some point, be sad on the track as this is broken. Lots of folks have also had issues with this idler braking, this little roller tensioner braking, and that this eliminates both of those parts, so it should drive durability up. The second part about the idler is that I have a sneaking suspicion that that gear, the gear pitch on that differential is probably the same as what's in that Rhino CLSD. Is the diameter also the same? We're going to need to see if we can actually swap in that Rhino CLSD, and if you're going to do that, you have to have the idler set up to do it. Now, if you choose to go rear motor or not, obviously that is your personal preference. You can go idler with the standard mid motor mount that came with the car. You have to buy a few less parts and everything, and you're in pretty good shape. But I like a lot of rear weight on my car, and I'm not violating any rules or standards, or I'm not past any kind of guidelines for comps or anything like that. But you might want to check, now that I'm over 70, if with your local comp, if there is any kind of rules or restrictions to that. But I'm not over 1,000 grams on the rear, and I think I'm in good shape. I like more weight back there, but that's my personal preference. So again, up to you if you want to go rear mount or mid mount and how you want to drive your car. So I'm going to get to working on these next few tweaks. I hope to see you in the next video. There'll be a playlist of all my Sakura D6 stuff popping up over here to your right, and I hope to see you in one of those. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.